Hey everybody, Scoutcrafter here again, TGIF. We're in the midst of a thunder shower about to come down, so I always love it just before a storm. It gets the whole, I guess you could feel the barometric pressure dropping, and you could smell the air. It's a really nice time. So, and when it starts raining, we'll get downstairs, see what kind of project we can do. Okay, now for today's episode, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about fit and finish, and the reason so because you remember about a month ago, a gentleman by the name of Ben Curfey sent this over-the-top package of tools, and had really nice stuff in it, snap-on stuff and all kinds of stuff. Well, he said he had sent another package, and it took a long time to get here because it's coming from across the pond, but and we had a little bit of a scare because it said it was delivered, and it wasn't delivered, but it was actually between carriers, and it said it was signed for, so we thought it was lost forever. But Ben, I said, look, I got to find out a little bit more about Ben. So we were conversing back and forth, and it turns out I thought Ben was some old-time, rich guy. Not so. Ben is only 34 years old. But through some hard work when he was young and good investments, and he's kind of self-employed, and he made the good choices and lives a good, clean life. Very humble guy, very simple life. But really, he's got it all together. Usually it takes many years to get it all together, but to get it together so young, that's a blessing. So, but he enjoys the channel, and he likes the community, and he sends these tools in for all of us to check out. So let's go check it out. Let's see what he sent in, and we're going to talk about fit and finish today. Okay, these are the tools that Ben sent over across the pond, all the way from England to here, and I'm blown away. Look at these beautiful, beautiful tools. I mean, nothing's rusty and good. They're all beautiful. So that's why we're going to talk about fit and finish. So let's go through one at a time. I want to a couple of brain teasers here. We'll see if we can figure it out. Okay, first we're going to start off with a little brain teaser. Now I know there's some of you out there that know what this is, but I got to be honest with you, I did not know what it was. I knew it was some kind of clamping device that had this anvil, you could see here, and it's got a little triangle anvil. And it looked like it, I said maybe it's some kind of chain breaker or something, but it's very limited in scope and size, that it only opens up to less than 1/4 of an inch, but it looks really well made. It's all, everything on here it's a beautiful fit and finish. So try and figure out what this is if you don't know, and we'll get back to it a little later in the video. Okay, Ben sent over this beautiful, look at this beautiful snap-on 3/8 inch ratchet. And again, with the fit and finish, look at the chrome plating on here. I mean, this is the epitome of what it, and something, this is very common today because I guess with Taiwan and some other, even some Chinese tools, the finish has really come up a lot in comparison to what it was back in the 70s and stuff. Look at that. Just flawless. And you can see this is a high tooth count. Listen. And obviously it's got the metal tab here. Just a beautiful ratchet. And these handles with the bang cap on the back, so it don't really get, it's much harder. It's a harder plastic. And this is a rubberized grip, so you can handle it in the cold and whatever. Just a beautiful ratchet, isn't it? But look at the fit and finish on there. You can't ask. This is something that you just love to see when you come from a new factory. Snap-on really, they charge a ton of money, but you got to admit they do put out a beautiful product. Now that's the upper end of the scale. Now, actually, this is Bennett sent over a couple of the other ones, the other size King Dick auto wrench. This is a bicycle wrench type, and you know something? I'm starting to realize every King Dick I see has some flaws in the fit and finish. Now, I know that there are big fans of, and those 3 dots are probably somebody identifying their wrench, which is a nice way to do it. But everyone I see from King Dick, King Dick always looks like there's some kind of, like they skip a step, like it's never polished, never. That's why Billings is so popular, because when Billings would never let a wrench out with a finish, and Nash, our buddy, just did a review on one, and it said, and it was an Almonk, but it had a ALMONK, but it has a war finish, it was called, and it looked, you know, so you figure war finish, they don't go through the extra steps, but I've never seen a King Dick that looked great out of the factory. I think that they were just putting them out. Their fit and finish is horrible. Here's one of the auto wrenches. It's a nice size, and now I don't know if this hole that's on the side there, is that factory? It looks like it is, but you can't tell. And you can see here, it looks like it has some kind of like a cadmium or a chromium plating on it of some sort, and it's a beautiful, you know, wrench style or whatever. But again, their fit and finish was always just a little bit off. Next up, we have this beautiful, I'm going to give it a second for you to think about what it is if you don't know already. Look at the tip. This should be a giveaway. But here's something you don't usually see. And this is one of the nicest tools of this type I've ever seen. And what it is, it's a tire tool, a tire spoon. Anytime you've ever worked on a tire with a tube or tubeless, you have to get in under the rim. This would tuck in, and this would help you mount it back onto the rim. This would help you take it off the rim. Just a beautiful tool. Look at that. Look at the style, the shape of this. I mean, this is, and look at the writing on here. And here you can see it says Forum, and it says Demontage. So it's a Michelin. And Michelin, and see, I guess this, is that French? And was Michelin, we got to look up where Michelin got its origins from, because this is just a beautiful tool, isn't it? Nice balance to it. I just love this thing. What a nice tire spoon. Anybody that ever used a tire spoon will appreciate the style and the function of this thing. But just really nice, huh? And the, you know, now, and again, talking about fit and finish, this is the factory finish on here. You can see it's just a wonderful, the way they did it. And I'll look up what year it is and see if I can find some more examples of this beautiful tire spoon. Next up, he sent up some, these are, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they're hog ring pliers, and they're two different sizes that come here. Hog rings were these little split rings that you would put into here, and you would put into the snout of pigs. And Todd just did a beautiful, he collects these, he has a bunch of these. He did a nice rendition on what they do and different types they have. But yeah, you put a little ring in here, and then you would clamp it around the nose of the pig, and it would stop them from rutting and chewing up all of the farm, of the new plants and things like that. So interesting tool. And it's funny how this is it's obviously from overseas, but they all look the same, you know, I guess because it's a good design. So all over the world, they were pretty much like this. Okay, I'm saving my three favorite for last. Let's get right to this one here. Do you know what this is? Take a look at it. Looks like some kind of cutter of some sort, huh? And I know some of you guys are laughing right now because you know exactly what it is. This is what's called a saw set. Let me show you what that is and how. Now, this is where my buddy Dave, he comes in. He loves doing this stuff. He knows a lot about saws. I'm real amateur on this, but I'm just going to give you a brief explanation. Okay, this is the teeth of a normal saw, okay? And because a saw has to have what's called a set, and if you look very closely at the teeth on this, what they have alternating set, meaning one tooth will bend this way, one tooth bends the other way, one tooth bends this way. And the reason that is because if you didn't have that set, that width in there, the blade would get stuck in the cut. So you have to, the saw has to make a deep enough channel for the rest of the blade to pass through without binding. So that's what a saw set does. Now, eventually, sometimes these saw sets, they start to work their way down. You have to call what's called reset the saw, and they have special tools that they made for it. And this is one of the most ornate, beautiful tools for that I have ever seen. And look at this. I mean, that is just beautiful, huh? For a saw set, what they do is they pass this here. The saw fits in here like this, and what happens is that little lever that you see will grip onto the tooth and will bend it just the right amount as you move on, and you skip a tooth and then you flip it over and do the other side. But that's how that works, and it's made for a different size saw, and it's adjustable. So you can see how far it is down there. Now, by moving this screw here, we could adjust the set to go further and further down. So it's just a beautiful tool, isn't it? And to set a saw and to do it, you know, to do it correctly is almost a lost art, because you know, we don't deal with that much today. But this tool, now here's what's interesting, and Ben pointed this out to me. You know, it looks really old because of how beautiful it is, but here it says Western Germany. Now, made in Western Germany or West Germany, that usually the term came from between mid-40s, 45, all the way up to 1990. A lot of companies have used that, so it's very hard to determine exactly when it was, but it's such a beautiful piece, and you know, it could have been a modern piece made by a company that really loves to do fit and finish, or it could be something that's from the mid-40s. We don't know, but isn't that beautiful? Just a beautiful tool. Okay, next up, look at this, huh? Now, this is a Knipex, and it's some people don't pronounce the K, but they do on their videos and stuff, so I'll go along with it. Obviously made in Germany, and this is a newer tool, but look how beautiful this tool is. Now, remember, we're talking about sharp edges here, and I told you I'm a fan of channel lock, but here's a tool that they took the time and they went over everything. Look at this. See all these edges? Now, if this was a channel lock, with this, you could scrape wood with this. Look at that. Smooth as can be. Every single edge on here. You could grip this tool, spin it in your hand. You're not going to get... It's just beautiful. And obviously, it's ground down. Look at the grind, the precision grind they did. This isn't a 2-second grind. It's probably a computer grind. But how this tool works, if you've never seen this before, this is meant to grip nuts and bolts from here. And I'll show you how that works. Now, what makes these parrot head design pliers so interesting, first of all, it's a box joint construction, you can see here. It has 15 positions here that you can lock in and put anywhere you want. And how it grips the nut, you can see here, when you put it over here, it grips the nut in 3 positions, 1, 2, and 3, and it gets a tight hold on that nut. So you'll never have a problem if you have a nut that is maybe a little bit rounded over. This grabs the flats, gives you tremendous torque on that nut. And again, it's adjustable from 3/8, so I think 1.25 inches. I'm going to put the link on the demonstration of these pliers from the factory in the description box. So, but as far as fit and finish goes, you cannot. How can you compare this? But here's my favorite part. Now, anybody that's ever used traditional water pump pliers, you see here, that's a pinch point. And how many times have you ever gotten a blood blister from this? Because I know I have. You know, you're working on it, you squeeze, and it slips or something, and it catches you. This has always been a problem, but these will never touch. No matter what position you put this in, these never touch. It's built-in protection against blood blisters and pinching. So that alone is beautiful. But you can't buy a tool like this, you know, for this kind. You know, you can't compare. This is apples and oranges. You can't compare the two, because the channel locks run maybe $20, and this might run three times that, you know. But you have to admit, it's just this is what we love as tool people. We love to see a beautiful fit and finish on here. So this is really a beauty, huh? Okay, last up, you know, something Ben really wanted to know what we thought about this. This is the tool this is basically what Ben, he sent the rest of this is kind of gravy, but this was what he really wanted to, for us to enjoy. And this is an amazing piece, isn't it? Now, check out what this is. First of all, you can look at the lettering. You could probably just make it out here. And it says, there we go. It says Peugeot, and it's out of, you know, and this tool dates back to somewhere around the late 1800s or early 1900s. And look how smooth this still works. You know, it's got the, you know, the reverse thread on here, so it opens much quicker than most other wrenches, you know. This varnish, look at that handle, huh? And just a beautiful tool. Now, here's the question. You can see what it is. It's a regular adjustable wrench with a dual-sided, you know, so you can have 2 sides. But the question is, works so smooth because it's, you know, been obviously greased and over the years. The question is, when you get a tool like this, it's just beautiful the way it is. But do you now, when this came from, obviously when it was produced, this was polished. You know, you could tell they wouldn't put out a tool. And this ring too was polished out. This was you know, a tool that was as pretty to hold and look at as it was. But now this is, over the years, you know, it gets tarnished or whatever. Now here's my question to the group and to Ben. Do you take a tool like this? Now, I've always been very careful. You know, I like to mess around with tools that are like handy, blue collar tools. I'll take a tool like this and take it over to the top because it's a nothing tool. It's not an expensive tool, but this is a kind of an heirloom. So here's where you step into that position here. What do you do with a tool like this? Do you polish it out? Do you make it like it came out of the factory, or do you leave it like this? This is my question to you, to Ben, and let's see about that other wrench. Now, if you're like me, you're probably wondering how this 100-year-old plus wrench works. So let me show you. Tighten it up. Look how quickly that adjusts, huh? 1, 2, 3, it's down here. Now I found, just from playing with it for a little bit, you got to kind of put your finger on the back here so you don't want to spin the handle. But look at how nice that works. Remember, when this was made, there were no cars. We were dealing with buggies and things like that. So look at that. How cool is that, huh? It's just a nice, beautiful little wrench, and works like a charm. So let me know what you think. What do you think we should do with that? Ben, what do you think we should do with that? Okay, now, I'll be honest, I had no idea what this was. I had to call Ben, and I emailed him. I said, Ben, I kind of think I know what it is, but I had no idea. And Ben told me what it was, and after I found out, I was like, what a great invention this is. Okay, for those that do know, thanks for holding on. But for those that didn't know, let me show you. Now, when you do any kind of plumbing work or anything, a lot of times you have what's called a compression fitting. A compression fitting uses something called olives, like these little brass compressed fittings that slip over the tube. And usually they come in all different sizes, obviously. This is a very small one. But it goes over the tube, and then when you squeeze everything, it compresses and creates a fit, a watertight fit or whatever. Could be even airtight. This will compress around it, and once they compress, it's on there like permanent. The problem is getting these off. It's always been a problem. When they're on there, especially for years, they're hard to get off. And what are you going to do? You try and cut them off, and then you actually, you're going to damage the pipe or whatever. Well, this little device slips into the tube, and now you put this over the olive, and you tighten it up, and when you do, it'll cut the olive without damaging the tube. You see, it takes it right up to the surface of the tube without doing any damage to the tube, and we'll cut that olive right there. Is that cool, or is that cool? What a nice little tool, huh? Really well made, too. And you can feel the weight of this. It's all hardened steel. Very nice. That was fun. Now, if you didn't get it by now, we had a little joke going during the video, and that was, it's a little contest. And that was to see how many times I said a particular word, and the word was beautiful. Now, I tried to incorporate as much as I could without making it obvious, but it's difficult, and I did it more than once, as you could tell. So here's the game. So you have to, without going back over the video and counting, take a guess how many times beautiful was said during this whole video, and add it up, and you'll get an honorable mention in Mishmash Monday's video. So count, use your head and say, how many times did he say beautiful during that video? All right, thanks very much. I hope you had enjoyed the video. Take care. Have a nice day. Just wanted to say a special thanks to Ben, and I appreciate you sending me some pictures of your awesome shop. It's just amazing. Thanks again. Appreciate it.